Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 12th, 2024. Well, let's take a look at what happened in the overnight session. Let's take Asia here. Asia, a lot of Asian markets are closed due to the lunar holiday. We've got a shortened weekend going on. Australian markets were just a little bit lower last night, so no particular worries over there. If we take a look at European markets, however, European markets are looking mostly bullish this morning. Only the FTSE is just slightly lower here today in kind of a cautious trading session, at least at the moment. And then we have a U.S. futures, and right here early this morning, we've got Dow futures just a little bit lower, while the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 are just ever so slightly bullish. If we take a look at oil, oil is moving just a little bit lower here this morning. You probably heard that Israel has said that they have finished up their Gaza airstrikes, and we're seeing oil take a little bit of lead from that, moving just a tiny bit lower here this morning. We also have 10-year bonds just edging slightly lower here this morning, but 2-year bonds are holding in there firm. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Boy, we've got quite a week this week. A lot of things could be happening. We've got quite a few earnings, although those earnings numbers are going to begin dwindling down. We have a end of the week. We've got on Friday, we've got a options expiration week. We're going to have a CPI number coming out on Tuesday. And by the way, we've got a 3-day weekend coming up. So there's a lot for the market to consider this week. And we could probably expect some pretty substantial volatility to occur as well. Let's take a look at these charts and see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, let's try to shake off a little bit of bias in here as we look at these charts, and just try to envision what would happen in looking at the entire chart. What would happen if the bulls find inspiration, or if the bears were to find inspiration? Well, first off, if we take a look at the diamonds, you can see we've been holding in here nice and strong. It's just been kind of remarkable, to be honest. Lots of strength here in the diamonds. You'll notice in here we've got a little bit of a resting pattern here, a little bit of a consolidation pattern. And although we made some new record highs here last week, we'll want to watch this area in here. If the bulls can find inspiration today, let's look for a test up here and see if we can break through that level to the upside. Blue sky above at that point in time if we can pop on through. However, if the bears were to find inspiration, you could see it wouldn't take a whole lot of effort to push us down through this level here in the chart on the diamonds. And then keeping in mind, as we move on lower, there's a little tiny bit of price support right through there. And then, of course, we might come on down and test this bigger price support that comes all the way down into here. And just to give you an idea of what that means, I'm going to flip this over to the Dow. And the reason I continue to warn on this is we have really big price moves possible in this market. So I'm trying to encourage to get people to raise those stop losses and protect themselves in the market. A move down into here on the Dow would be 650 points. So just kind of keep those things in mind. There are some big moves possible if those bears were to find inspiration here, just simply because we've been so stretched to the upside. So make sure you're raising those stop losses, preparing yourself for that possibility that a pullback could begin at any time. And I can't tell you if it's going to be today, this week, next month, I don't know. But right now, we're so stretched up here, we want to be adding a little bit of caution in here for that possibility of that pullback. And with the volatility that we're likely to see this week, with a CPI number, a PPI number, a 3-day weekend coming up, and of course option expiration, anything is possible. Let's take a look at our SPY. SPY. Oh, there we go. SPY really stretched to the upside. Had new record highs coming into the market here on Friday. We did make it through 5,000. Boy, that was the big push. Even though volumes were really pretty light and our breadth was really light, we were able to push on through to those new record highs. And we're trying to pump that up just a little bit more this morning. So let's watch that carefully. If the bulls can continue to find that inspiration and push on higher, maybe breaking out of there certainly looks like a possibility to me, and more blue skies above. If for some reason we find some bearish energy here in the market, well, we've got 5,000 here as a possible support area, and if that doesn't hold, well, we're going to move pretty quickly maybe down if that doesn't hold. So I'd look for a little area right in here for support, and if that were to fail, then I'm thinking come down here, fill this little gap in that move coming on down, and then maybe we'll be into this trend area here to try and find some support down in this area. And those are some big point moves again, so just watch carefully if that were to occur. If we take a look at our QQQ, also very, very extended as we continue to pile in to just a handful of tech stocks as they continue to push and push higher and higher and higher. New record highs here in the market. If we can continue to keep that going here in the market, and every reason to believe that we could, breaking through here, more record highs coming along the way on the NASDAQ. So watch that carefully. However, if the bears were to find any reasonable energy here in the market, pulling back to just below that candle could be a little bit of a painful pullback in the chart. And if that were to fail, then I would suggest this area, price support, is the next area we'll want to be watching pretty closely. Support trend in here. So watch that carefully here on the NASDAQ. If we take a look at our Russell, old IWM had a really good day on Friday, pushing up, and we're trying to push on up here this morning as well. And this is, if you're a bull, this is a good sign, because finally IWM looks like it might be coming around to showing a little bit of energy. But I wouldn't get too excited about that yet, because we have done this before and then turn right back around in a failure pattern. So watch that carefully. Breaking through a downtrend is the first step of setting up an uptrend. Break through and then hold some kind of a higher low or consolidate, and that sets up that next opportunity for an upside trend to develop. So watch that carefully here in the chart. It's oftentimes you chase a run like this and then you end up getting disappointed if things pull back. Now, looking at this, you can see we've got a resistance level in the chart right here. So if the bulls can continue to push right up into there, makes perfect sense. Breaking through there, up into there, looks like a reasonable possibility on IWM. If the bears find inspiration, I would say a pullback. There's a little bit of price support right there that could hold, and if that doesn't hold, we're right back down here testing this support area in the chart. And notice we have bounced through that. We've held it as resistance, we've held it as support. It's been a difficult area for the market to deal with, and we'll want to watch that carefully. And if it does hold that higher low, that'll turn green again. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX on Friday, just kind of hanging out here, down around this low, around 12 handles, 12, 13 handles in here, trying to show that we have no fear in the market. But I think there is that possibility of a little bit of fear maybe starting to creep up, and everyone understanding that we have probably stretched some of these valuations pretty high. So once again, just remember, raise those stops and try to be careful about chasing stocks already very extended, because one day this is going to turn lower, and it'll probably be a surprise to a lot of folks when it happens, and they'll get damaged from it. Let's take a look at our T2122. Our T2122 indicator continues up, and we did push up on nicely on Friday, but we're showing a little bit of hook here in that move. And again, it was just a lack of breadth as we continue to push higher that is the issue. And honestly, that surprises me a little bit. I'll talk about that in just a second. But if you take a look right in here, there is that possibility if the bulls maintain energy in here. We still got upside room here for them to go, so every reason to believe we could push on higher, extending that 5,000 breakout in the SPY. If the bears were to happen to find some inspiration here in the market, well, then just keep in mind we've got a pretty good downside opportunity that has been opened up if those bears were to be inspired by any of the data coming out this week. Let's take a look at our T2108. Now, our T2108 is the percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average, and you can see we turned up on Friday, so that was a nice sign. We've been drifting lower in here, showing that weakness in the market, and we're coming into an area of price resistance now. So we'll want to watch that. Of course, 50% is always a natural resistance or support in T2108. So kind of keep an eye on that. If we continue to find that bullish inspiration as we push on up, look for some of these resistance levels in the chart. And if the bears were to find some inspiration, that possibility that we could push on down and retest some of these levels of price support. Our T2107 is the percentage of stocks above the 200-day. You can see we've been struggling in here a little bit, but not so much to be a major problem. Notice that we've got this little downtrend in here that we're up testing here on Friday, pushing back up if we can break through some of these resistance levels in the chart. Certainly looks like a possibility up in there toward that 60% area of T2107. If, however, we were to get some bearish inspiration, it wouldn't be that much of a of an ask, really, that we could see that possibility that we could break this support down in here and come on down and test that 50% area at least, and then passing down through there are some support levels down in here. So right now there's no sign that we're going to push back, but just kind of keep in mind if we see any kind of selling starting to come in, we could move through those levels pretty quickly. If we take a look at our T2101, here's that problem I've been talking about, and that is even as we're extending up and we see our, especially SPY and the QQQ moving up like this, and we've got our market breadth continuing to decline. Now, the reason it surprises me that it's declining is so many stocks are coming out from under their blackout period where they can't do stock buybacks, and we've heard about big tech giants doing lots of buyback activity here, but so far we have not seen that breadth increase on this buy wave. So that does concern me, and that concerns me in that fact that we've got this big divergence going on here, and that possibility if the bears find any inspiration at all and they snap, we might see that breadth actually increase on a bear wave in the market. And the reason why that could be the case is there's so many folks in it's such a crowded space and just a very few select stocks that if they start to sell, you could really see that possibility that a lot of folks would be running to exit those positions pretty quickly to protect their capital, and some big moves could be possible in the market. And I don't know when that would occur, but it could occur at any time. Now, if the bulls find that inspiration in the market to continue that push, what I'd like to see, if the bulls are going to be this strong, then let's see that breadth coming in on the bullish side, making that wave move up on a bullish move. We don't like to see it moving down on that bullish stretch to the upside. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, we've got, well, kind of light day here to be paying attention to. We've got a couple short-term bond auctions. Kashkari will be speaking today, and then we have a Treasury statement. The Treasury statement's looking for a negative $210 billion on the Treasury statement, but that is an improvement from the negative $129 last time. So watch that one today. Could be an interesting one to be paying attention to. As we move into Tuesday, of course, this is going to be the big deal, and that's going to be that CPI. On Tuesday, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Keep that in mind. We've got petroleum status here on Wednesday. We've got our normal mortgage applications, and Goolsbee will be speaking. Thursday's going to be a pretty big day of data. We've got housing starts. We've got retail sales, Philly Fed, Empire State, import exports, industrial production. We've got business inventories, housing market index, and the natural gas report, along with Treasury International capital and the Fed balance, and then later in the day, Bostic speaking. And then on Friday, we've got housing market starts. We've got a PPI number coming in on Friday, consumer sentiment. Daily will be speaking, and the Baker Hughes rig count. So not the busiest of week. We kind of piled everything right into here, but we highlight with a CPI and a PPI. PPI coming right ahead of a 3-day weekend. So just be prepared for some volatility in the market as we move through this week with all the data. Then let's take a look at our earnings calendar. Our earnings calendar, we've got some notables here this morning that, not so many notables, but there are some that certainly could be market moving. Let's take a look at ANET. That'll be reporting today, so keep that in mind. Been zooming to the upside here. As you can see, another one of those tech stocks that's just absolutely parabolic, and the chase to the upside continues here in these stocks heading into the earnings report. CAR reporting this morning, trying to pop up here this morning, trying to break that downtrend. Keep an eye on Avis. Could be starting to bottom, make that bottoming pattern here, a break of this downtrend in here, create some kind of a higher low in here someplace, and then could be off to the races. Watch that one close. BLKB is reporting today. We're going to hear from CDNS. We're going to hear from FRT. FRT, we've got Goodyear Tire that will be reporting. HPP. We've got LSCC. We've got MNDY. Straight up parabolic move on MNDY with so many of these right now. It's just amazing, the willingness of folks to chase stocks higher. MEDP, and last but not least on this list, OTTR will be reporting today. And look how many of these are just parabolic straight up moves as we chase these markets higher. So that just makes me nervous as long tail cat in a room full of rocking chairs, as they say, as we continue with wild abandon chasing stocks, particularly tech stocks, higher, with no major concern whatsoever or fear of a potential pullback. That does make me a little bit on the nervous side. Now, let's take a look at what's going on in some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, if you guys could do me this quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and then click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you wouldn't mind helping me out and feel the video was worth it, if you could do me that favor, and that would be click that thumbs up button and leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. Remember, these aren't recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence, be very careful in the market, and make sure that you never ever blindly follow anyone else's trade ideas. Follow your trading plan, your rules, and your guidelines. First off, let's take a look at a few stocks that are trying to bottom out in here. And I'll tell you, when we see the market stretching to the upside like this, I want to start looking for those stocks that really haven't had a whole lot of love here recently and maybe coming up out of a bottom. And I think Plug Power is all kinds of set up for that upside move. We broke through this major downtrend. We're trying to hold some support in here. Now, it is a little cheapy guy. It may not be the kind of stock that you're looking for, but I do think there's a little bit of an opportunity in here for this to start pushing on higher. Keep a close eye on Plug. Pretty interesting chart at the moment. Let's take a look at Marvel. Now, Marvel has been up, and still looking good in here in the chart. We popped through and hit some resistance. You see I had my alert in this chart. Popped through, hit some resistance, pulled back, and found some buyers here on Friday. So watch that carefully. If this can hold in here, a little bit of volatility, this can hold in here, we still have that opportunity that could move on higher in the chart. Watch that one closely. Take a look at steel. Cleveland Cliffs coming up here and looking good. Nice strong day on Friday. Now keep in mind, this may still have to rest out here toward the trend, but if this continues to follow through today and push on through to the upside on a weakening dollar, that certainly would help if those bond yields are going to be pulling back. Watch for that opportunity that some of these steel stocks could start moving higher. If we take a look at like MT had a nice run up here all of a sudden, pushing through some big resistance here in the chart. Another steel company. If we can hold up in here, hold that higher low, then look for that next opportunity to the upside. Steel Dynamics had a big move here as well, starting that upside trend here, moving on up. Any consolidation or rest back to this trend seems like it could set up an opportunity. And it's going to be really important that you're kind of keeping an eye on the dollar, because if the dollar weakens here, that would help the anything commodities pretty well. You can see we're pulling back just a little bit here on that UUP, running in this upside trend. So keep a close eye on that. If that dollar were to weaken, that would help anything in that commodity sector. Let's take a look at TEVA. TEVA trying to make a move here today, popping up in the pre-market. We pulled back, found this trend. Boy, this has been just one of those consistent trends, finding that trend, and then we find buyers pushing back up here in the chart. Every reason to believe TEVA could continue to move on higher. Keep a close eye on that. It's looking really good at the moment. If we were to take a look at IBM had found some buyers here the last couple of days after that big gap on earnings. And notice in here we're pushing up. I'm going to a weekly chart here, pushing up here this area of resistance in the chart. We need to see if we can breach that here on IBM. So if we can push on through there, breaching that, we might attract some more buyers to it. Watch that closely for that potential to push on through to the upside. We'll want to keep an eye on some of these retail stocks here. Coming up on the 20th, Walmart's going to report, but notice how this is up here at blue sky highs, trying to push through this area of the chart. Let's go back here to a weekly. You can see blue sky highs here on Walmart. So watch that carefully, this nice little consolidating resting pattern in here. This was one of my initial alerts on this run, and Walmart's performed way better than I would have expected. And you can see that resting pattern back toward here could set up that next opportunity to stretch on higher heading into those earnings. We just love right now chasing stocks into those earnings reports and pushing them up. And as you guys know, I've been watching Shop here for some time, and Shop finally popped that alert, and you can see how it's really important to be paying attention to patterns like this, because you can catch that early entry when they break. You don't have to wait around forever for them. And there's that pop continuing to stretch on higher. I would watch carefully here. Shopify could rest or pull back soon, but what's going to mess up oops, this thing changed my tool on me. If you take a look right up here in the chart, well, it's going to report tomorrow. So there's that, and part of that reason anymore is we're chasing into earnings. Watch that carefully here on Shop. Could certainly move on higher, or it could end up looking like one of these stocks that just dive hard right after their earnings reports. Let's take a look at Spotify here. Spotify is another one of those where we popped up on our earnings report, pulled back, and then just reversed and continue on higher. Spotify looks like there may be some more upside opportunity, although these are very, very stretched to the upside. Might want to take a look at DraftKings. DraftKings continue to move up, and of course the Super Bowl, there was ads on DraftKings, all kinds of energy in here to continue to well, we'd love to gamble. That's just what this is showing us here, continuing to push on higher. I think it needs a rest or a pullback here in the market, but watch that closely here for that next opportunity, and just keep in mind it's coming into its earnings report on the 215. So stretch, heading into those earnings reports. Seems to be what we love to do right now. So keep an eye on that. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. Wish you all the very, very best.